I'm Dara Thomason, and this is Love Yourself Thin, episode 228, Finding Your Holiday Triggers, Why You Overeat, Overspend, Overstress During the Holidays. Welcome to the podcast where you finally learn how to resolve the great dilemma of knowing exactly what you should eat to be healthy and feel good in your body, and why you still find yourself at 10 p.m. eating a pint of ice cream. If you've been struggling with this for years or decades, you're in the right place because you're smart enough to know this isn't about learning one more diet. It's about fixing the thinking problem underneath all of it. You know what you're supposed to eat. You should move your body, drink more water, get more sleep. You have a strong desire to do these things. But when you don't do them, day after day, month after month, year after year, you've lost trust in yourself, your confidence is gone, and you're in menopause. If you're in menopause like me, you don't even know what rules work anymore. I'm Dara Thomason, professional quilter turned weight and life coach. After 25 years of struggling, I finally cracked the code of emotional eating and lost over 50 pounds for good. Now I help women just like you resolve the great dilemma of knowing what you should do, but not following through. Even at our age, because yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Before we dive into today's episode, I do want to let you know of an amazing opportunity of how do you conquer the emotional eating during the holidays, and you need to check that out. I've done this course already and had incredible reviews. It will truly change your life. Not only will it help you with your physical health, but it'll also save you money because you'll be spending less too. Just a spoiler alert. All right, so let's go into today's episode. We talked about triggers, and I want you to understand that the holidays are like a perfect storm, okay? We've got nostalgia. We want to have happy memories. We want to honor traditions. We have a lot of pressure to perform, right? We want everyone to be happy. Usually we're either hosting or we're somewhere else. We have a lot of extra responsibilities. The holidays just don't happen. They just don't appear. You have to make them happen. So now on top of all of your everyday responsibilities, we have this added holiday pressure. We have different family dynamics. Our families are getting together for the first time in months, maybe even years. One of the biggest problems of all is that you don't really trust yourself. You trust yourself probably to brush your teeth. You trust yourself to pay bills. You trust yourself not to go like 180 kilometers on the highway. But as far as trusting yourself with saying, I'm going to make homemade Christmas presents for people, or I'm going to be able to do this and this today, you don't necessarily trust yourself that you're going to get all that done. And that's okay. So I was actually just coaching a client. So if those of you who are watching on the YouTube, you can see it. And if you're listening on the podcast, imagine I have two X's. So we have our spot where you're standing there and you say, this is my vision for Christmas. This is my vision for the holidays. And you say, okay, this is what I want. So we basically draw a straight line from what we want to where we want to be to make that vision come true. And we say, these are the things that are going to have to happen for us to create that vision. It's very specific, very direct. And we've had lots of experience executing things before. Now, the issue is that life happens. So I have actually just in the coaching call I had, one of my clients her husband just lost his job. She needs a new hip. She has a scare of having breast cancer come back. We don't have contingencies for those plans. So now what happens, imagine we have highs and lows, ups and downs. We do pretty good and then go low, stay on track for a bit, and then we just crash. This is when we get the ice cream. I ate the chocolates. This is when we stayed up really late, craving a lot of carbs. We do pretty well. And then we go up a little bit and crash. So now we have this up and down where we're not really following the line exactly or the plan that we had. We have some room for error. That's just normal. But if we don't have a lot of room for error, our highs are really high and our lows are really low, and then we don't trust ourselves. And this is where we get the triggers. So when we go off plan, we start getting triggered. Now, imagine someone gives you a car. So exciting. But they say, this car is from Germany and there are no German mechanics. There's no one in this town or anywhere close that fixes these kind of cars. So it's a really good quality car. Just take really good care of it and hope that nothing goes wrong because no one can really fix it. So that's scary, isn't it? Having this car that you're always worried that it's going to break. And if it does, then you can't use it anymore. And then it just becomes useless. So imagine that's how it is on the holidays, right? I hope everything's going to go okay. I hope things don't get too derailed because we don't have that self-trust. I want to explore what are the things that you do that you're not happy about during the holidays? Do you stay up late? Do you then get overtired? Do you overwork yourself and then crash? Do you do a lot of eating, like baking, eating? Do you buy a lot of treats? Do you find yourself eating in the car a lot? Do you find yourself down at 3 in the afternoon, looking through the pantry and finding things? Are you scrolling on Instagram or Pinterest and looking at a lot of recipes? Do you make promises to yourself that you're going to be well planned, but then you don't follow through? So now it's December 22nd and you're scrambling. I'm curious about your unique pattern because if we don't look at our own unique patterns and we're following some diet or some other expert saying, here's the best way to save on stress, these hacks for stress hacks. But if we don't know our own unique triggers, then it doesn't matter what other people say. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you do when things don't go your way? What do you do when you get a curveball? Your husband loses his job, or you're told you need a new hip, or you might have breast cancer. What are your typical coping strategies? Chances are they're probably not super healthy because we weren't taught that. In fact, I was just listening to a podcast with Brene Brown who talks about our emotions. And she grew up 5th generation Texas, and there was 2 emotions allowed in her house. There was happy or ticked off. If you tried to show any other emotion, that wasn't allowed. Chances are we were similar. In fact, they did a research that showed there's basically 3 emotions allowed: happy, sad, mad. Those are 3 acceptable emotions. There are so many different emotions. And the more that you can allow all the emotions, that creates this resiliency where when things like we get the bad news about husband losing his job or having to get a hip replacement or potentially having breast cancer coming back after 16 years, we can now, when instead of the lows going really, really low, we can just process that emotion. So I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you do when things are really bad? So do you tend to scroll? Do you tend to bake? Do you tend to people please? Do you tend to shame yourself? I'm not good enough. Or do you tend to blame? What are your strategies when things are not going great? The more that you can open up yourself to that, the more that you can get insight for yourself. What happens when you get that kind of insight? I want to walk you through an activity. Time is precious, and I want to make sure that you're getting the most out of this podcast. So I want you to think, whether this is the holidays, maybe it's a trip, it doesn't matter. You can listen to this podcast any time of the year. So you have an idea. Maybe it's starting a quilt or whatever it is. We're just going to keep with the holiday theme here. So you have this vision. You say, okay, this is me today. And in 30 days time or in 15 days time or however much time, this is what I want it to look like. And you have it all detailed. I just did a webinar today on not putting all your eggs in one basket. Dr. Susan Jeffers wrote a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And she talked about how if your relationship in your life is the most important thing, then if something goes off with it, because you can't control other people, then your life is empty. She gave suggestions of, here, let me see. Here we go. How to make your life more whole. So having contribution, family, work, hobby, alone time, relationships, leisure, personal growth, and friends. When you have more complexity, maybe when you have more wealth of time together, or sorry, of dividing up your energy, then just like with all your eggs in one basket, if you fell, then all the eggs would be crushed. Instead, these things are important to me. And my whole Christmas holidays are not going to be all hinged on relationships. I can divide up my joy. I can focus on contributions. We brainstormed in our group today. I'm going to do secret elves, the toy drive, plan dates with my friends, do a gift exchange. They had all these different ways of spreading out the joy of the holidays so it doesn't all fall in one place. How many of us will just turn to the food? Food is, for a lot of us, Old Faithful, right? Think about popcorn. Think about how popcorn, did you have that when you watched Hockey Night in Canada or Walt Disney? And it was one of those pieces of a memory where it's usually associated with happiness. Cake. I just had my birthday a few days ago. My friend made me my favorite cake. I enjoyed it. Every bite, it brings back these memories. So the more that we can build resiliency skills, which is feeling our feelings, the more that we can ride the waves of life. I have a program where there's a group of women, and you can check out more information. It's incredible. My client actually brought up, I'm worried about making a plan for the holidays because she gets really in the details of planning, like the minutia of everything. She gets overwhelmed and throws her hand in the air. We talked through this. She realized that in order for her to have a wonderful holiday, she needs to be willing to feel all the feelings. The other part that was really helpful for us today in the group, when we talked about this episode actually, was I asked them, what is your bare minimum Christmas? What is the bare minimum? They had to decide, okay, do I have to have my house decorated this much? Do I have to have stockings? Do I have to have 3 presents? If I had 3 presents for 3 people in my life and I had a Christmas tree up, that's my bare minimum Christmas. And so then I asked, what would happen if you just did that this week? Talk about diffusing that perfect storm. At the beginning of this episode, I said why the holidays are a perfect storm for being triggered. Nostalgia for happy memories. We want to honor traditions of our family. Pressure to perform, added responsibilities to an already full platter, family dynamics, don't trust yourself to follow through. So when you can have, what is my bare minimum, and then work on that, then everything else is gravy. The next part that's really important and tying it all together, the main message of this podcast is the more we're able to feel our feelings, the more emotionally regulated we'll be, right? So our nervous system won't be like feeling like it's able to say, okay, I can feel this feeling. I can just let it go. A feeling is a wave. It's no problem. I can handle these things. This is who I want to be, and this is what I want. But you also have to have your destination. So if you don't have a clear vision of what you want your holidays to look like, you're adding to that pressure that we don't even need more of. I really hope that you can continue to use these tools and strategies. And I want to invite you. I have a class that I'm teaching that's going to really change the way that you look at food and how you've been using it for emotional eating. As I work with women, I see their inability. And it's not because it's their fault. It's not because they're not smart enough. We're all working through it. But it's our inability to understand that food is not the solution. I have a client, I didn't even share this in my win, but I'll share it at the end. So last year in her guild, the Christmas party was not great. The food wasn't great. So she offered to make all the food for the party. It was a beautiful meal. And she spent 2 days preparing and serving it. She didn't stress at all. And in fact, there was times throughout the day that she realized, I'm not even stressing about this, because she is so familiar with her holiday triggers. She's familiar with what stress feels like. She's so familiar with overwhelm. She's so familiar with those initial feelings. So then when she starts getting triggered, she says, oh no, I don't do that anymore. I don't have to stress. I've got my list. I know what I'm doing. I know how to prepare all of this food. I'm doing this because I want to. I don't have to prove myself to anyone. She did have one lady that she was worried kind of judges her sometimes. And it turns out that lady actually brought her a gift and thanked her for all that she had done. When you can finally understand what's going on in your brain and your body. So I want to offer you to come and check out this course that I'm teaching. It's how to cut that emotional eating in half over the holidays. And I say in half because this is a lifelong. The more that you can recognize that pattern, who knows, maybe in a few months, it'll be gone. Just like this client of mine who was able to do this entire catered meal and not stress. Go and check that out. You will get all the modules. And if you sign up within a certain time, there'll be office hours where I can check in and answer all your questions. You will have that course for 2 years. I just did that in the middle of November. It was really good. You can check out the reviews. Take care. If you know what you should do, but you can't figure out why you keep falling short, it's the dilemma, isn't it? You have all the knowledge, you know the steps, but something keeps you from following through. That's exactly what we resolve in Love Yourself Thin, my lifetime membership for quilters and creatives, because you don't have a knowledge problem, you have a thinking problem, and that's what we're here to solve. When you join Love Yourself Thin, you get lifetime access to the tools to help you understand why you do what you do so you can finally create permanent weight loss. No more frustration, no more wondering what's wrong with you, just real transformation from the inside out. You can learn more and join at www.darathomason.com. This is where the real work happens. Can't wait to see you there.